They convicted Daniel Reyes of murdering his business partner in 1990. He got 25 to life. Then, 33 years later, a records clerk clearing out a condemned annex in Fresno County found a sealed manila envelope marked Combs W. Autopsy No. 2. Same coroner, same case number, a different cause of death. So why did Dr. Everett Sloane sign two autopsies for the same body 6 days apart and only file one of them? The official story was simple and it worked. Walter Combs, 44, found dead in his own warehouse office on Sabre Street, October 3, 1989. Cause of death: a single blunt force blow to the skull. Weapon: a tire iron recovered from the trunk of Daniel Reyes' Buick, blood matched to Combs within a week. Motive: Reyes and Combs were splitting a hardware distribution partnership, and the buyout numbers didn't favor Reyes. Prosecutors built a tight window: Combs alive at 10:40 p.m., dead by 11:00. Reyes' truck on a gas station camera 3 blocks away at 10:52. The jury took 90 minutes. Case closed. Reyes has spent 3 decades insisting he never went inside that warehouse. The envelope the clerk found wasn't a copy. It was a second, complete autopsy, typed, notarized, and stamped by the same coroner who testified at trial. Dated October 9, 1989, 6 days after the first. It wasn't filed with the court, the police, or the DA's office. It sat in a private administrative folder inside the coroner's own record annex, the kind used for cases involving insurance disputes rather than criminal ones. And what it says is this: petechial hemorrhaging in the eyes, fractured hyoid bone in the throat. Findings consistent not with a single blow to the head, but with manual strangulation, sustained, deliberate, and occurring before the skull fracture, not because of it. That single line breaks the case the jury actually heard. At trial, Sloane testified that death was instantaneous, one strike, one moment, a killing that fit neatly inside Reyes' 12-minute window. A strangulation, though, is not instantaneous. It takes minutes of sustained pressure, minutes during which Combs would have fought back, minutes that push the actual time of death earlier than 11:00, potentially earlier than 10:40, the point at which witnesses said Combs was still alive and alone. If the second autopsy is right, the timeline the prosecution built for the jury doesn't just weaken, it collapses. Someone was in that room with Walter Combs well before Daniel Reyes' truck ever showed up on that gas station camera. Here's why nobody saw it for 33 years. The second autopsy wasn't ordered by police. It was ordered by Meridian Life and Casualty, the company holding Combs' $400,000 policy, which routinely commissioned independent postmortems before large payouts. Under California procedure, that report went into the coroner's administrative file, not the case file, and was never logged into the evidence chain the defense had a right to request. No subpoena ever touched it because no one outside that annex knew it existed. Reyes' public defender asked Sloane directly, under oath, whether any other findings existed. Sloane said no. But the second autopsy wasn't even the strangest part of that annex box. Filed behind it was a Meridian internal memo, dated the same week, listing a contingent beneficiary on Combs' policy. Not his wife, the primary, but a brother-in-law named Harold Feld, who co-signed the original partnership paperwork nobody entered into trial. Phone records subpoenaed decades later, during a 2019 cold case digitization project, show 3 calls between Feld's line and the warehouse's office phone that night, the last one at 10:31 p.m., 9 minutes before Combs was supposedly last seen alive. Feld was never interviewed. He was never asked to explain the calls. He died in 2004, and no detective's file mentions his name at all. What this means for Daniel Reyes is straightforward and devastating. If the actual time of death sits before 10:40, his gas station alibi doesn't clear him around the edges. It clears him entirely. The withheld autopsy is textbook Brady material, the kind of undisclosed exculpatory evidence that appellate courts have overturned convictions for on far thinner grounds. And it raises an ugly question about who benefited from the silence. an insurance company avoiding a murder-linked payout dispute, a coroner unwilling to contradict his own sworn testimony, or a brother-in-law who was never made to answer for 9 minutes on a phone line. Reyes' appeal is pending review this year. But the question the second autopsy raises isn't really about him anymore. It's about who was actually standing in that warehouse office before 10:40 p.m. and why, for 33 years, the one document capable of naming them sat sealed in a box nobody was ever told to open.